Okay, we're going to start off on the left side of the machine. First off, we're going to do is checking tires, checking our bolts on our rims, check your torque. You're supposed to do that every 10 hours until they quit moving on you. Still recommend every season. Make sure you got their torqued, make sure none of them are loose. If you're missing a bolt, you got a cracked bolt, we've seen it happen quite often. The cracked bolts usually indicate we could have a rim starting to crack on us, and the rims will start cracking around these bolt holes and going out. So definitely spend some time and inspect that. If we lose a rim and tire, it's going to be a lot of dollars. So let's make sure we get that checked. Moving more, we're going to check with our indicators on our chains. We got the indicator up there. This one's just got a tension on it, so we can keep our unload chains tensioned. Our clean out door, make sure we close those, especially before season. You guys open them up and forget to. Hopper will fill up very quick with that. Going down here, just making sure your rotor section area is good. Make sure it's clean. This one's got large wires in it. Looks really good. I know a lot of guys that if they're picking some wet corn and stuff, green stalks, definitely want to get some round bars in there, get that cleaned up, because otherwise it's going to hairpin and plug you. You're going to have some issues there. Just since this is a 50 series, another update, we got the rear cage vanes. That whole unit, this one's electric adjusted. That whole unit, if it doesn't have that electric actuator, it will have a turnbuckle there, and you can adjust these vanes very easily compared to the old ones where we don't have to open all those bolts. We can just do the turnbuckle or the electric motor in there. So that's a very good feature on those. Moving down here on our cleaning fan, make sure if we ever have an issue where we have trouble with getting some corn down in the fan or beans or whatever, trash, we can clean it out right there. Make sure that door's closed before season if you've cleaned it out. Going to that, the sieve belt, the sieve drive belt and everything. This is a big area where we have a lot of issues as these combines get older. Guys can't see them. The 10 series, we could see the tensioner arm on here, but on these combines, when we start closing them up, we can't see that tensioner arm. If we look underneath there on that tensioner arm on the bottom side, there is a grease zerk there. And if we get that greased, so when these machines are going through like a waterway or a hill slope from one extreme to the other, that tensioner arm follows like it's supposed to, and then this belt stays tensioned. You don't run into that slow sieve speed. So for that, then we got our rotor gearbox, gear shift. Biggest thing is to remember with those is when we're shifting those, if we don't get it into gear and we go flip the switch on in the cab before the separator turn on, it doesn't come up to speed, shut your machine off. Come back out here, make sure it goes into gear. If you have to pop a side shield off, rock the rotor a little bit with a screwdriver, pry bar, make sure it goes into gear, then fire the machine back up to be able to go. Because a lot of guys don't get in gear the first time, then it doesn't go back in for them. It's a safety on the combine so it doesn't just sit there and keep trying to run the rotor speed. Your chopper knives, your stationary knives, here's your arm for that, and it's got a nice indicator here which way they're going there. So on this machine for our pre-sieve, it's got electric adjust here instead of our arm in the back what the previous machines have, so we can adjust our pre-sieve right here, and with this shield off you can see exactly where you're at on that as well. So battery box. Make sure if you got a covered battery box, it's got this vented piece on there. So when we're charging it, it's getting rid of the battery gases. Most of them have tips to update them. If you don't, get a hold of us and see what we can get done there for you, but you definitely want those on there. Then we got our lights, our outside lights here, sieve lights, battery disconnect, toolbox, pretty easy there. So chopper assembly, a lot of guys forget what to do here, but we got this plate we can shift. We can go back and forth. There's on low speed, running with this pulley, squeeze it, go in, high speed for soybeans. Biggest thing is, it's not like your older combines where we got to make sure this belt's staying tensioned all the time. Those indicators there, make sure they're staying. This belt runs to the other side of the machine and runs the other side of the machine for the most part. So both belts got to be good, but this one definitely has to. You can see inside here is our chopper bearings. Make sure we're greasing those. They're saying 100 hours. I personally like 50 hours, a couple pumps. It's gonna keep a lot of issues out. That thing in beans is turning over 3,000 RPM, so definitely worth keeping some grease in it. So, for the next thing is just our speed sensors here for our shaker speed, just something to keep an eye on. I've seen as things get wearing, the older style sensors start rubbing on these arms. Make sure we want to keep them away just a little bit. And pretty much that's the main thing. Look, just checking your hydraulics, make sure you have no leaks, make sure you're keeping our belts tensioned. And then another thing is, some guys forget a little bit, this PTO gearbox oil is separate from the hydraulic oil. And this PTO gearbox is your ground drive hydro oil. So we definitely got to make sure we're keeping that up, keeping it to the right level. Not over full, but definitely not under. So for the most part, that's your left side of your machine.